Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, the real spiritual path is about looking into your struggle, looking into your pain, looking into your conflict, looking into your fear directly. So, when you're looking into the struggle and pain, there is no moment of feeling good when you're in the process. When you finish the process, yes, there's inner peace at the end, which is the byproduct of this process. When you're looking into your struggle, how can you be happy? How can you feel good? Can you? Just reflect on one of your past experience when you are with your struggle, when you're facing the struggle. Were you happy that, oh, I'm so happy I finally, facing my struggle? No, when the struggle is there, when the pain is there, when the fear is there, the sadness takes over. Isn't that? There's no happy moment when there is a pain. Opposite is there. The spiritual process to figure out the truth is the dark time. Yes, when you set the intention for the process, that will spark you to come back, but still a dark process. Going through the dark process is the way to see the light. Light means the truth, and truth, removes all the struggles, the mental struggle, the conflict, the fear from us, and then, there is that never-ending peace in oneself. Now, the question is, are you aligning with your spiritual practice to feel good? Are you seeking to feel good in your spiritual practice? And if you're repeating to feel good, that means you haven't dealt with your issue yet. What you align with is is a superficial path. The ego has take over your spiritual practice, and ego itself is entertaining by that practice. That practice is making the ego self stubborn rather than dissolving the ego. The real process is about dissolving the ego, not adding another layer in oneself. Adding another layer in oneself is the ego self is getting further stubborn to face the reality. Now, when you hear this kind of stuff, it's easy to be defensive. When the ego self hears this, the ego feels defensive because, it's pointing at you that you are doing the work in a wrong way. When that kind of mess comes in, now there is that defensiveness. And this platform, the purpose of this platform is to allow the ego to resurface and fight. The defensiveness is the ego self coming out. And if that is happening, then the purpose of this platform is working. We want an ego to resurface, and we want to catch the ego. We want to catch our fight with the world. We want to catch the fight with ourselves. And that could be the start of recognizing that, oh shoot, I have this defensiveness. I have this frustration. I have this fight. I have the struggle. Now we can investigate on, why do I have this defensiveness in me by hearing some words from this guy or from the world. The spirituality is not about, sitting in a quiet room and enjoying that quiet space, enjoying, the spiritual layers as the mantras or as the affirmation, as the bodily technique, and sitting with that. That is, not the real spiritual path. Real spiritual path is about directly looking at your struggle. And working on the struggle. Why am I struggling in my life? Why have so much fear in my life? The struggle is there, the fear is there because the truth itself is missing. The unchanging truth itself is missing. That means whatever we have built up on the false foundation. And when the false foundation is there, everything is shaky. When the life, throws something at you, it's easy to fluctuate, easy to lose the temper, easy to lose that sense of ease. And the world is the source of, trigger point. World is a source, that can easily fluctuate us, isn't it? We have to face the world. That means we have to face the people. When you are facing the people, what happens? Most of the time, our preference don't match. When the preference don't match, there is a conflict. When our preference is matching, great. We are all happy, smiling, all good time is there. And when it's not, there's the outer fight, struggle. The outer struggle becomes the inner struggle. And that inner struggle continues in us because we are adding into that story. We're narrating that story. Not to resolve the story, but to win the battle. The winning the battle is coming from the place of ego. The ego don't want to lose the battle. The ego always want to win the battle. The ego is about dominating. And it's a never-ending game. The process, the real spirituality is about dissolving the ego. Dissolving the ego. Dissolving your ego means dissolving your identity, dissolving your attachment. And when you are dissolving those things, how can you be happy? How can you see the joy in that? No, you can't. When you're walking this path, you are walking on the fire. You feel the burn, the inner heat starts to build up. It's an inner battle with yourself to dissolve the false in you, to find the real you. And the whole process, is feeling the experience of dark time. So if you're not experiencing the dark time in your spiritual path, you haven't started your practice, period. Right now, whatever your spirituality is, again, just simply, fueling the ego. And notice how fast your spiritual practice breaks when you're facing the world. Yes, you're doing the spiritual practice at home, you're feeling calm, relaxed, everything you're doing to settle yourself. That settlement, that feeling, the sense of ease, only there when you're doing it. But when you are back in the world, your sense of peace goes out of the window fast. And when that happens, that should be another recognition that my spiritual path is not working. That's another reality. It's not working. So why it's not working? Because the real path of dissolving the ego has been always, neglected, denied. And the rest of the spiritual practice, is about making the ego feel good. And because of that, not able to figure out the truth. When the truth is not seen, the struggle continues, the fear continues, all the rest. And because of that, life is happening from the, conditioning. The present moment is happening from the place of conditioning. The now is always there, but the now is, overpowered by the conditioning. And the conditioning itself is, projecting the future. So, how do we, realign with the true spirituality? How do we be okay with, going through the dark phase of the spirituality? By being reflective, by seeing what's happening in the spiritual practice and being reflective. Is it working to dissolve my inner conflict and fear? So this is the simple way. If your fear and inner conflict is not dissolved, still bothering you, that means your spirituality is not working. Then from there we can realign ourselves to real work. And again, the real work is walking on the fire. But you don't have to jump into the big fire right away. That process also doesn't work. You start to be part of the self-inquiry practice. Accept whatever is there in your life. You accept as it is. Don't deny it and work on it. Whatever dark layers you have, you work on it. Working on the dark layers is a direct path. Not adding any positive layers on top of the dark layers. Accepting the dark stuff that you have. Everybody has the dark stuff in them. And looking into that directly and inquiring why you have those and why those things are bothering you. And that's the way to, figure out the root cause of the dark layers. And that itself is a dark phase in the process. And when you be part of this without giving up, you know, being aware, staying unbiased in the process is the way to eventually break free from all this dark stuff in us, which is the struggle, pain, fear, conflict. You know, those are the dark stuff, isn't it? Joy, light stuff is the, you know, freedom. So, you gotta go through this process if you're seeking a true freedom from the mind. You know, the mind that is creating a constant drama, constant conflict. So, inquiring your own mind is the simplest, direct approach to figure out the inner truth. And when you see the inner truth, then there is, you know, the byproduct of this practice, which is the ease, feeling okay with whatever is there. The unchanging ease is there. The unchanging inner happiness will be there. And that is the byproduct of the, you know, when you're walking the path, which is the, you know, darkest time of your life. So again, if you are feeling good in your spiritual path, you know, the process hasn't started. The process is simply ego fueling journey. Your ego is loving the spiritual practice because that practice is making the ego get bigger and bigger. Ego loves the idea of spirituality. Ego is doing this spirituality now. And the whole, you know, process or the whole intention of the spirituality is missed out when the ego is doing the spirituality. The real spirituality is about dissolving the ego, not making the ego go further stubborn. So one must recognize this. So what's happening in your spirituality? Feeling good or going through the dark time, dark phase in the practice? Again, facing your fear, is it about feeling good? Facing the struggle, do you feel good? Facing the conflict, do you feel good? So if you're feeling good, you're not facing the issue. That's the, you know, that's a reality. I hope this video makes sense to some extent, guys. Okay, and yeah, hope you're enjoying the backward movement. If you have been following this, again, true freedom is about tracing the mind backward to its root and eliminating the root altogether, so we can see the plain sight truth. So that's that part. That's the work. Okay. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye.